Welcome to Coping with Ghosting, the podcast that provides hope, healing, and understanding for anyone who's been ghosted. I'm your host, Gretta, and I'm honored to welcome Dr. Kellie Kirksey to the show to discuss the power of asking deep questions and journaling after being ghosted. Kellie N. Kirksey, PhD, is a certified rehabilitation counselor, author, yoga instructor, Reiki practitioner, dancing mindfulness facilitator, clinical hypnotherapist, EMDR therapist, expressive arts therapist, and certified in mind-body medicine. Dr. Kirksey has practiced and taught in the counseling field for more than 30 years and has focused her life work in the areas of wellness, diversity, international corporate community consulting, social justice, journaling, mindfulness, self-care, holistic pain management, and integrative counseling. Dr. Kirksey is currently on the faculty of the Northwest Center for Creative and Expressive Arts Therapy, and as the founder of Creative Wellness Solutions, LLC, she works with groups and corporations offering trainings on topics of health and wellness, stress management, self-care, non-traditional healing modalities, drum and movement for wellness, social justice, meditation, cultural humility, and working effectively with diverse populations. Dr. Kirksey, welcome to Coping with Ghosting.
Thank you so much, Greta. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am thrilled that you are here, and there are so many things that we could talk about. And the reason why I really want to focus on journaling is because we met at a writing retreat.
Yes.
And so I felt like it was extremely appropriate.
Yes, absolutely. And journaling has just been such a big part of my life since before I could even write. So I find it such an accessible tool for healing and just working out challenges in our life.
How exactly can journaling facilitate emotional and psychological healing after somebody's been ghosted?
A lot of times when we go through an experience of being ghosted, there is that rumination that happens in the mind. What did I do? What could I have done differently? What did I say that made them go away? All of those really kind of insidious ruminations. And when we can use journaling as a tool to just pause some of that for a moment and take it from between our ears and dump some of that out, like write all of that down as it is, the distortions in it and all, the pain in it, everything, just to move it out of the body and to come a little bit out of that contraction that happens when we're hurting, because we contract, we get really small and tight sometimes when we're hurting, and the journaling helps to expand and move things out. It's a beginning point.
Yeah. For me, when I've been ghosted, I've written letters to the ghost in my journal. There's been a lot of things that I wanted to tell the ghost, but I just didn't feel like it was, I mean, of course, I'm not going to reach out to them and send them a ton of colorful language. So I get my rage. I put all my rage on the page. That was really helpful for me.
Yes. Yeah, because the journal is a space that's not going to yell back at you. It's not going to judge you. And so being able to say, why did you do this to me? What happened? What is wrong with you? Like whatever is there, that's powerful. That's powerful. And, as you said, writing a letter to the ghost and also just acting like that ghost is right there. So sometimes journaling might come in the form of a voice message on your telephone and talking that out So that's the voice journal, to move it out, to get it out, to create more space inside for healing.
Wow. I love that. I was going to ask you, like, does a journal need to be handwritten only? But clearly not. You could just record something. I love that.
Yeah. And there's so many things that you could do with the journal. I let me see. I don't have any of my really busy wild journals, but you can take a journal and a glue stick and go to town. There might be images in a magazine that bring up something about that person that ghosted you.
Mhm.
Rip it out, glue it into your journal, get your markers out, scribble. If you wake up and you're feeling just frustrated and sad and confused, open the page, take a crayon, scribble, scribble, scribble hard, move it out. Just like, oh, you know, that kinesthetic energy of I'm moving this pain out of my body. I am not going to hold it and let it damage me anymore.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Can you share some of the creative ways in which you've used your journals? Because I know some and I think they're really cool. I'd love for listeners to experience what you've done.
well, I have creative ways that I've used my own journals. Well, I've written poetry books based on my journals.
Mhm.
I've taught a lot of workshops based on some of the poetry that I've written in my journals. I have helped create journals. Um, I don't know, my journal, it's so much, it's such a part of me. It's such a friend that's tucked away with me at all times. I put a lot of trinkets in my journals. Like I just got back from a trip. There was a wristband that was on. I glue that wristband in
Nice.
there. It holds my memories. It
Yeah.
holds my dreams. It holds my desires, my goals.
Hmm.
It holds my timeline.
Yeah.
It holds my timeline. So I see my healing there. And I also do a future projection. So this time next year, this is how I want to be feeling.
Mm.
So I'll write down in this moment, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling frustrated, my back is hurting, I want to scream, I'm not eating, I'm not talking to anybody, I can barely get out of the bed, all of that, write all of that down.
Hmm.
This time next year or in 6 months' time, this is where I want to be at.
Hmm.
I want to be able to move freely. I want to have a strong desire to get out of bed and go hug a tree or call a friend.
Yeah.
I want to have the desire to dance, to travel, to reconnect to my dreams. Because when you're sad, when you feel ghosted, when you feel isolated, then we can't always dream ourselves into another state. But sometimes writing it down, this is what I desire for my future self, for my future self.
Right. I love that. And I've done a lot of that as well. And some of the things that I've written in my journals have really come true, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back and
Mm-hmm.
see it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing the stories that we, because it's really a great place for creative visualization,
mhm,
for really holding the image in our mind of what we want for ourselves.
mhm,
And it's real because the brain doesn't know whether this is a created story or if this is something that actually happened or if it's past or a future. The
mhm,
brain coalesces to put all those pieces together and make it be so and give you the feeling
mhm.
of that which you desire. It's so journaling is a bit magical
It
and
is.
scientific.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Some of the questions that I've written about, or like the journal prompts after I
Mhm.
was ghosted, was just what do I want my future relationships to look like?
Yes.
And what are my boundaries?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And getting really crystal clear, and then having guidelines and being able to measure them against the relationships that I was entering into. Like, oh, they violated this boundary. Like, that's not okay. But just having that as a physical reminder was really helpful.
Physical. Yeah, a physical reminder.
Mhm.
And just being able to affirm that you now know what you know. You've been down this street. You have this lived experience. It was painful, but now you know when somebody is exhibiting this behavior, maybe it's time to run out the front door.
Mhm.
And so definitely the journal can serve as a point of, it can be your wisdom keeper because you're gaining wisdom as you have these experiences. It might be painful, joyful, whatever it is. We're learning all along the way. So the journal can be that reminder of all that wisdom that you're garnering in the midst of some challenging times. You're picking up a lot of tools.
Mhm. Yeah. Even the notes app on my phone is full of self-help stuff. The wisdom that I'm picking up as I go
Mhm,
through life for every single
mhm,
thing that I'm
mhm.
learning and dealing with. So yeah, I love all of this. When people are ghosted, um, what questions do you think are kind of essential that they need to reflect on, or would be helpful? I don't want to say need, because I don't want to tell anyone you have to do anything, but
Right.
what would you recommend, like some of these questions that, or journal prompts could be for the listener who's maybe like, okay, I want to start journaling, but I'm not exactly sure where to begin.
Yeah, I think one of the most important questions is when we ask ourselves, what do I need for myself right now? Like, it's such a basic yet critically important question. What do I need for myself right now? What do I need physically?
Mhm.
Do I need to eat? Do I need to get something to drink? Do I need to get new shelter? Do I need a sweater? What do I need emotionally? Do I need to phone a friend? Do I need to have a good cry? What do I need emotionally? And for people that are spiritual people, what do I need spiritually?
Mhm.
Would meditation help me right now? Uh, my prayer beads, would it feel good to hold my prayer beads?
Mhm.
All of those things. Would it feel good to go lay on the earth? So going to the basic questions of what do I need for myself now? How can I offer myself kindness? Because it feels really crappy that this person ghosted me. How can I give myself kindness right now?
Mhm.
What does that look like? And exploring that. What does self kindness look like? What does self compassion look like?
Mhm.
And asking the hard questions of, am I blaming myself? Am I flogging myself over this? Or am I giving myself grace in the midst of the mystery? Because ghosting can it can be a bit of a mystery. We don't know why that person stopped communicating. We can go back and try and connect the dots and try and figure it out. But ultimately, we're not sure what was between that person's ears and heart or lack of heart. So, what are the lies that I'm telling myself
Mhm.
about this that's keeping me in pain? That I'm rotten, that it's my fault, that I'm not good at relationships, it's like, what are the lies that I'm telling myself?
Mhm.
And making a list of those lies or cognitive distortions. And then on the next page saying, okay, what is the truth? What is the truth? How do I challenge those lies that keep spiraling in my mind? How do I challenge that? And so using that journal as a place to really clarify things, to clarify, to stop those ruminations of, oh, I'm terrible, I'm awful. It's like, oh, I'm not really terrible. That person walked out the door and I'm probably better off because of so it just helps you to come back to yourself.
Yeah.
That person left, you get to collect yourself off the curb, bring yourself out of the rain,
Mhm.
and love on yourself, period.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. Well said. Thank you for that comprehensive list. And it's like, do not ghost yourself, please. And this is a list of how not to do it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you were speaking, I've been through so many ghostings before. It's really it's uncomfortable to even just say, but
Mhm.
um, about a lot of relationships. I've put myself out there and I've done a
Mhm.
lot of cool things, and so there are select people who will ghost. So I've been
Right.
ghosted, and I have dealt with a lot of these cognitive distortions, the
Mhm.
rumination, just the overwhelming anxiety and the mystery, as you said. And I have started a therapy journal. So I have a journal that I take to therapy with me. Anytime I'm feeling discomfort, I write it all out. And then I kind of, with my therapist, we burst a lot of these bubbles together, and it's really
Yes.
great. So
Yes.
yeah.
It's such a healthy practice
Mhm.
because we can begin to believe those distortions, believe those lies. And when we can sit down and take them out of our mind and go, huh, I don't have any evidence that that's a true statement that I'm telling myself. As a matter of fact, that's a false statement.
Mhm.
And being able to flip that and give yourself a positive affirmation, not a Pollyanna affirmation,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
something that's real and true and tangible. Yeah. But I'm a crappy person. I'm not good at any relationships. That's a lie because I have a great relationship with my dad and we can talk honestly and we are clear with each other. And being able to take yourself back out of the fog of what the ghosting has left you in.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, I really like that a lot. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Listen, if there's anyone who knows just how painful it is to be ghosted, it's me. I've been through the ringer with all things ghosting, and I used to hold the belief that time itself would heal all my wounds. But as it turns out, time itself didn't magically improve my state of mind. I had to do deep inner work to feel better after being ghosted, and I did it in therapy. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/copingwithghosting. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who has years of experience helping people with issues just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or computer, phone call, video chat, or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest way possible to start talking to a therapist. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/copingwithghosting or choose Coping with Ghosting during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. Another thing that people struggle with after being ghosted is blocking their ghosts on social media. They might not be ready to block them because they feel like, oh, well, they win that way, or they'll see that I care too much. And
Mhm.
so but the people who have blocked or at least unfollowed and stopped checking up on the ghost is they feel so much better. They feel lighter. They feel happier. And so
Yeah.
journaling about that, I think, is also another really good topic.
Hmm. Absolutely. Because it takes strength to even press that button to block them.
Yeah.
And being able to journal about how do I feel now that I've taken that courageous step to block them? How much more space do I have in my mind to think about other things, to build myself up, to have adventures, to get back into life instead of I'm scrolling, looking at what they're doing. No, I'm coming back to myself
Mm-hmm.
and writing in the journal. These are ways that I'm returning to me. These are ways that I am lifting myself up out of the muck and mire and dirt and quicksand and all of that. This is what it looks like. So, what does it look like? I went for a walk today. I called a good friend and had coffee. I gave myself a new hairstyle. I went and had a manicure. I soaked my feet in the pool. So how are you loving on you? So, how am I loving on myself today?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. It blocking ghosts really does free up a lot of emotional space and time because also it works the other way where they're looking at you and you're like, why are they orbiting me? Why are they still
Hmm.
checking up on me? And so now you can kind of be free of that. Yeah, so I love all those tips you gave. And another big issue for people who have been ghosted is, well, when they don't block them, the ghosts tend to pop back up in their life again and
Hmm.
want to rekindle a relationship. And so for me, I've journaled about, well, why would I want to be in a relationship with somebody who so easily discarded me?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
What else, like what would you add to that? Or what kind of questions could somebody ask themselves if their ghost reappears?
Yeah. I mean, to have this stem sentence, I'm better without you because
Mm,
my life is better without you because I feel better about myself now that you're gone in these ways. I celebrate myself now in these ways now that you're out of my life. So building this whole scene, and sometimes, like, let's talk about like a mind map,
mhm,
putting that circle in the middle, right? And say, my life is better without you in the center. And then all of those rays going out
mm,
because now I don't judge myself when I wear a skirt. Now I wear that red lipstick that I want to wear. Now I go out with my best friend Susie on Tuesday night to do trivia. So being able to just remember and reconnect to self and community
mhm,
and using that journal to brainstorm all the different ways because the mind will take you back to, well, they want to come back. Maybe that's a good idea. You can go to your journal and you can look at that list of why they were so crappy
mhm.
and why they did you a favor by fading away from your life.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so helpful to hear. I know a lot of listeners are going to be journaling about that specific topic. So another topic that comes
Hmm.
up
Hmm.
is self-worth, self-esteem, just like I, they didn't value me. I feel worthless. I feel like I'm nothing now. They just threw me away like a piece of trash.
Yeah.
So for the person who's feeling really down and out about themselves, what
Mhm.
would you recommend? What are some journal prompts for them?
Yeah. So I'm really big on recalling the facts, recalling the facts. So recalling the facts of your life that were good moments when you did good things, when you made things happen, when you felt powerful, when you felt strong and creative and sensuous and beautiful and all of those things. And starting with very small things that I am a good sister, I have sparkly eyes. I am a great communicator. So I often use that very simple I am format.
Mhm.
So really, like, what are the facts about you? I am a good writer. I am a good listener.
Mhm.
I am pretty smart. I am chatty and funny. And so reminding oneself, like who you really are. I am a faithful person.
Mhm.
I am a caring person. I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth. I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
it doesn't have to be this monumental thing, but if you are a house, you've done a lot of things to reinforce the foundation of who you are.
Mhm.
And so those I am statements can just help bring up your own energy so you can remember that you are worthy,
Yeah.
that you're enough. Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
And going back, like going back, as I said, like the recalling, like going back in time. So a journal prompt would be talk about a time in your life when you felt really positive. Talk about a time in your life that you did something you thought you could never do. Talk about a time in your life when you really stood up for yourself.
Mm.
Talk about a time when you were really there for someone. So recalling who you are. So it's not just about our future projection of who we want to become, but sometimes we don't recognize the beauty and wonder of who we are in this moment, even as we're feeling crappy because somebody ghosted us.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing that pops up for a lot of people who have been ghosted is fear of entering new relationships, fear of trusting people. So let's say they were ghosted by a few different people they met online for dating,
Yeah.
and now they want to continue to meet people and they're trying in real life and or they're trying on more dating apps and like some they'll get a text and then they'll reply and then it will be like a day or two and the person doesn't reply and they're feeling really really anxious like this is going to happen again, I can't trust anyone. What are some ways that they can rebuild their trust within
Mhm.
themselves, I guess, and for other people too?
Right. Part of it is reinforcing with oneself that that individual that did the ghosting, they're missing out on someone that's pretty spectacular. So they're missing out. Like they lost. Like they're the loser. They're the loser. And another way to look at it is a little bit of brain gym and saying them not showing up or them not continuing to show up or them not communicating, whatever the case, it helped me to avoid a landmine.
Mm.
Like they did me a favor
Mm.
because this isn't the character of a person that I want to have in my life. So I didn't see it, but they showed me. So thank you for ghosting me because you weren't worthy of me. You know,
Yeah.
being able to just say, all right, they're not dead in a ditch. As long as they're not dead in a ditch,
Yeah.
that's not why I got ghosted.
Yeah.
They ghosted because they are perhaps a coward,
Mhm.
perhaps mentally and not well.
Mhm.
Many, many reasons why.
Right.
But whatever the reasons, would you want all that in your life?
Mhm.
Would you want that person sitting at your dinner table
Mhm.
with that level of baggage, with
Mhm.
that ability to
Yeah.
harm?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we build up trust incrementally by first interacting with the people in our close circle. asking, interacting, showing that there are people in life that we can rely on, that we can call on, and they will be there. So
Yeah.
your picker isn't broken. Sometimes the people that cross your path are, and that you entertain are, but your picker isn't broken because you can look at some people in your life and say, huh, trusted myself there. That's a good relationship. That's a
Mm-hmm.
positive relationship. And then you go to that next level of saying, I'm going to just do an experiment. This is an experiment of just stepping one toe out.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't show up, what that means is that they're not for my highest good. And them not showing up is the sign of that, the
Yeah.
concrete sign of that.
Yeah. I love that. And I would say to everyone or anyone who's struggling with this specific issue, write down what Dr. Kirksey just said in your journal. If they're not showing up, I don't want them in my life.
Right. Because we want people in our lives that we can count on,
Mm-hmm.
that we can communicate clearly with, that can show up in the challenging times and in the beautiful times.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't have that level of wellness and maturity, then they're not the people to be in relationship with.
Right.
They don't have the capacity. And that
Mm-hmm.
is sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard in the past. And I've shared this on the show. I've ghosted people before. It's not something I'm proud of.
Mhm.
I discussed this in previous episodes. Anyone can go back and listen. One of the reasons why I did it was because at that time, I admit I didn't have the maturity. I didn't have the communication skills. I didn't have the emotional like health at the time to really be able to express myself in a way that was true and respectful to this person.
Right.
And I've changed a lot. I've done the work. I've gone to therapy. I've done all the things. So at this point, I don't ghost people anymore. I'll never do it again. But it was really hard for me. And I can see where that person probably, I don't think, I feel like looking back, I lost him. I
Mhm.
lost him. He was a good person. He was a
Right.
really cool person. And I lost him as the ghost. And so I do regret it. I did feel guilt and shame and all of the pain. So a lot of people say, oh, the ghost gets away scot-free, but I did it and I did not get away scot-free. So that's just a little kind of side note to our journaling conversation is
No,
just,
thank you.
yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that with me because the ghost isn't necessarily a terrible person.
right.
The ghost is functioning within the capacity that they can function in
Yeah,
at that given moment.
exactly.
And I've probably ghosted many people in my life and didn't even realize it. I mean, I've had friends that have said to me, "What happened to you? You just dropped out of, dropped off the radar."
Mhm.
And I wasn't doing that consciously in my own life. It's times when I haven't been consistent with a friendship. These are usually, maybe social relationships, friendships, is because, there's a forest fire in my life and I don't have the emotional energy to be in this intense friendship relationship over here
Mhm.
because I have to tend to this right now. This feels like the most important thing to me. And I only have the emotional bandwidth
Mhm.
to handle this over here.
Right.
And I've gone back and I've apologized to people,
Mhm.
or sometimes not apologized, just said, I've had so much going on. I've missed being in contact with you.
Mm.
I hope everything is okay. Let's have tea or not.
Mhm.
Or not.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Is there anything else that you would like to share with listeners about journaling or any type of writing prompts or just anything about ghosting in general?
Mhm. So I would always offer, how can we be more compassionate with ourselves? So
Mm,
doing that simple journaling prompt of, what do I need for myself right now?
yeah.
How can I be kind to myself? What is an action of kindness that I can offer myself right now? Um, and also just letting the journal be this free space. So even of letting go of the prompts and just going for words like, how am I feeling right now?
Mhm.
Frustrated, sad, angry, anxious, just letting it be a smattering of words,
Mhm.
and free yourself to not write in a straight line,
Yes.
write in a circle, write in a mountain, write in I don't know, a zigzag, but freedom of expression. Draw in your journal. What does your sadness look like today?
Mm-hmm.
You know, letting yourself be as creative and free. So, journaling without restriction,
Mm-hmm.
journaling without a prompt, because it's all about, how do I need to show up on the page today? And that translates into, how do I need to show up in life today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to let yourself have have some levity with it. Like talking about you as the ghost, or the ghost, like being a little bit silly with it, like saying, that ghost was so ridiculous. And I am so glad they're out of my life, because they were like, I don't know, spoiled milk out in the rain on a Sunday night. I mean, just bringing some paradoxical humor to it, so we can lighten, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we are so serious,
Yeah.
and everything feels so intense and tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can somehow walk ourselves back and say, it's not a tragedy, it feels horrible, but it's not a tragedy. What could be worse than this?
Mm-hmm.
What could be worse than this? And then exploring, I remember when I felt good. This is what I did when I was feeling good. And go do that. So
Mm-hmm.
you find your own prescription that way.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I did when I was feeling good. Oh, I jump roped. I hula hooped. I
Mm-hmm.
danced in the rain. And
Mm-hmm.
go do that. Go do that. Put a little sugar and spice in your life.
I
Yeah,
love that.
go do that.
I love that.
Hmm.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. How can listeners connect with you and get a hold of your book and learn more about your offerings?
Okay, well, I have a website. It's like a fever dream, though. It's just like wild. I have some meditations on there. I talk a little bit about journaling on there, and that is drkellyk.com. And I also have a sweet book called Word Medicine, and it's one of those books that you can just open up anywhere and just get a nice little teaspoon of sweetness to lift your mood. I wrote this book in 2019
Okay.
after a client of mine. I was running a integrative pain management program at Cleveland Clinic, and I'm in the middle of my lecturette, and one of my clients went unresponsive. So the doctors and nurses rushed in,
Mhm.
and I went and stood next to her and started reciting these affirmations.
Mhm.
And the nurse said, well, what are you doing? And I said, I'm reminding her of her affirmations. She still hears
Mhm.
us. And
Mhm.
then the nurse said to me, if you write those down this weekend, that should be your next book. I'm going to buy that.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I'm going to go write it this weekend. So November 19th, 20th, and 21st of 2019, I I wrote the manuscript, and then I put it away. And it wasn't until I was talking to Jennifer Loudon once, and this was in early 2021, and she was like, "Don't you have a little project just laying around that you haven't published yet?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have word medicine." And and I published it on Juneteenth of
Nice.
2021. So I'm going to ask you to give me a number from 10 to 130. And I'm going to open up to that page and see
Okay.
what we land on.
Let's go with 22.
We're going to go with 22. Okay, so let's see what's on page 22 for you. And these are very small. It's hard to see here, but they're just very small
Oh,
affirmations. And I love the spiral, spiraled life. So this is what it says on page 22. I embrace and appreciate this precious present moment.
wow.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so just very simple. So I just turned to randomly to page 54. So I would like to
Mhm.
read two just for your listeners here. The first one says, I give myself permission to move forward. Life is lived by engaging momentum and riding the wave of my beautiful passion. That's a good one for someone that's been ghosted,
Yes.
slowly returning to
Yeah.
themselves by incremental momentum. And so
Hmm.
a journaling prompt would be, how did I move forward today? How did I move forward today? What did that look like? And on the other page, it says, I return to myself.
Mm.
I come back for myself. I will never leave myself on the curb again. I
Mm.
stay connected to myself. I stay supportive of myself. And when I forget and leave myself out in the rain, may I remember to come back to myself once again.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mhm,
Wow.
mhm.
Well, thank you so much for being here with me today and for all of the wisdom you've shared with the listeners. I know this is going to help a lot of people. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in the world. Thanks for this conversation and for inviting me on to share some words with your listeners. So, um, the book is Word Medicine. It's
Mhm.
on Amazon, and I can always be reached through my website. So,
Yes. And I'll put all your information in the show notes. And listeners, remember when you're ghosted, you have more time to connect with yourself and people who have stellar communication skills. You deserve the best.
You just